So, welcome to the Spiritually Aligned Author Masterclass. And I know you guys know me, most of you. I'm Jeannie Street. I'm a healer, I am an author, and I feel like I'm a teacher as well. Um, I just love to share what the angels have taught me. And that includes how to write a spiritually aligned book and self-publish it. And this masterclass is something that it came to me in a dream, and then it started to build and build, and it just like I had no other choice but to like listen and do it. And I didn't have any fear with it, but it also was like super easy, which I wasn't kind of expecting, because normally how I pour my energy into creating something, it takes a lot of time and energy and effort, and this didn't. For some reason, I don't know if it was just because God had aligned it and all of the things in my life have lined up to this very moment. But I think that's probably what it is. But I'm sure everybody is really excited to be here. So why don't we start with one journal prompt? Um, and that journal prompt is why you signed up here. Like, what intrigued you? What's the spark? Is it something you've always longed to do? Is it something new that popped in? But I'd love to know what that is. And you can write that in your journal. And then if you want to share something in the text, in the chat too. Some of you have followed me on social and are on my newsletter, and some don't. So I'm going to give you a little bit of backstory over the past week. Last week, my husband had a near-death experience. He calls it a rebirth. That's how he's calling it now. So everything in our life kind of flipped upside down for us to know, like, everything in your life has led you to this moment. And even when I was sharing this experience of my husband, his near death experience, all roads led to that experience for both him and I. And on his side, he's working and processing through, and on my side, I feel so enlivened by it. I feel so grateful for, as scary as the situation was, for this I feel renewed. I feel like finally he gets my language. Which sounds crazy, but I've lived in this veil for so long. All of my life I've had this experience, and then to have your partner experience it the way he did, I just feel so validated, because not that I needed his validation, but it just brings it all full circle for me, full circle. So I am an author, and I'm going to show my books, because this is where we get to do that kind of stuff. So I have 4 books altogether. The Goddess You, which is a 12-step, 12 principles for living in your soul truth. This book is the beginning of my journey. Before this was a book, this was a class. Before this was a class, it was what I called a boot camp. And before it became a boot camp, it was how the angels led me to take and combine my healing work, guided meditation, and a teaching. So, so how it looked was, I was seeing clients alone, privately, and I was doing Reiki healing, energy healing, and then the angels were guiding me to do guided meditation. So I was doing that at a local club, exercise place. I was renting it out, and people would come, and I would do these beautiful guided meditations. And they had me start adding in the healing to those guided meditations. So everybody would lay down, guide them on a meditation, walk around, give them energy healing. And then that evolved into also then delivering messages. So then I would share what the angels showed me during those moments when I got to be with them. And then it went to the next level, which was the teaching level, which was the 12 steps of how to live in your alignment. So they got everything. And I thought this was really brilliant. It was beautiful, and an experience to really wake us up. So you write from the center of your own healing. You teach from the center of your own healing. When you are in the vibrational rate of your truth, then it's effortless. It's when we're in the trying or the becoming or looking outward that it becomes more challenging. So the second book that came after I wrote The Goddess You was this guided journal. And this has journal prompts because what I learned from full on experience is we need to be led into going deeper. We need a question to answer. Otherwise, our journal experiences, I don't know what to write. I don't know what to do. We're not sure how to get to where we need to go in the beginning. And so having a guided prompt gets you off the hook. You don't have to do it. This is a lot of fun because it just gives an extra energy to what I created in The Goddess You with the angels. It just adds to that level. So, two books, self published, one right after the other. So, we'll talk a little bit about what that looked like um, in just a little bit. And then a couple years later, and it wasn't really, I knew right away there was going to be more books, but it takes time to write, it takes time to get it out on paper, it takes time to put all that process through, and we'll talk about that. But then came the next book, which is Believe Angels Don't Lie, and its companion journal. Again, another way that you could layer the energy, again getting people out of their head, so you're giving them support, you're holding them. It's like the healing that goes along with the book. So, what happened? Where did this all come from? The guidance, right? When we're in alignment, when we lean into spirit, when we have an experience with our highest soul self, this is how we can start to participate with really what we're meant to be doing. And you're all here because you've had that tap in of some sort of, writing, right? And we can look back over our life, and I call these postcard visions. And these postcard visions are scenes of you doing this one thing, scenes of you maybe writing, scenes of you teaching, scenes of you leading, and each is very specific to you. Like my postcard vision started when I was a teenager and I saw writing, and what I did with that postcard vision when it first came in was, that doesn't belong to me. I am a terrible student, and I was really sassy and just did not believe that would even be possible. And I didn't even know what that nudge was really telling me. And that just kept coming. The same postcard came time and time again throughout my life. And sometimes I participated with it, and sometimes I didn't. And when I started to take it seriously, that's when it started to participate on the level that it was meant to be. So it's the seriousness, it's a commitment, right? You guys are all energy sensitive. You understand that you might be an empath, you are some sort of a sensitive soul. So when you make a conscious decision to work with something, you're all in, right? Are we there? Everybody get me there? That's you here today. Conscious decision making is part of that journey. So, how does this all work into self publishing and writing a book? Well, we have to learn how to lean inward to really begin to trust our senses, to trust our body, and to work with our highest soul self in order to channel and work effortlessly to write the book. So, a spiritually aligned author is the person that's willing to not write the words themselves, is the person that's ready to allow spirit to bring that to them. And you might have heard people say, like, oh, I channeled that whole book. I came out within a short period of time, right? Well, that's really what we're talking about, because if this is your truth and you've had these postcard visions and this has happened to you throughout your life about writing, even if it's new and you just feel so lit up about it, then yes, this is about participating. It's about leaning in. It's about saying yes to this very calling, right? It's about participating and having fun with it. So that's what we're going to do today. All right. Sounds good? Yes, 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 yes. Okay, so what we're going to do first, I did give everybody a journal prompt. And in case you didn't do the journal prompt, what I asked you to do was to write down like your tap in, the experience of why you're here, like what it is you're hoping to find and receive. And there's a reason for this. One, you're acknowledging it. And number two, it's energy. And because because of who we are, being energy sensitive, we've created this sacred circle. Even if it's on Zoom, we're connecting to each other. We can feel it. So feel free, if you want to put it in the chat now, to pop it in the chat. Okay. So the next thing I'm going to teach you is I'm going to teach you a meditation. And this meditation is going to be, a quick plug-in for you to work with your highest soul self. It's really effective for getting out of the mind, and it's really effective for calming the central nervous system. So it's twofold. It's actually really healing and it's empowering. So who doesn't like that, right? So I'm going to invite you to just get yourself in a comfortable place where you're sitting upright and allowing yourself to start to cycle breathe. And what I say cycle breathe, it means you're going to breathe in through your nose and you're going to exhale out your mouth. And you're going to stay very present with your breath. And you can go ahead and drop your eyes and close your eyes and just become very aware of your breath. So just follow my voice and bring your awareness down in your internal eyesight all the way down into your sits bone. This is the root. We call it the root chakra, the root center, the base of your spine. It's where we draw the energy in from our place here on earth. Here is where we're going to open that energy flow and just be really comfortable in your body. We're going to let go of the outside world and don't worry about any of the noises or sounds that you're going to hear. We'll bring them into our experience. We don't have to shuffle them out. The thoughts that may pop in, you're just going to let them kind of wash on by. Don't worry about what's for dinner or cleaning the dishes. It'll get done in its due time. You're just going to be in your body. Might feel uncomfortable at first, but just stay with me. So I'm going to bring your awareness, bring your eyesight to the center of your chest, to your heart center now. Allow yourself to slowly fill up as far as you can with your breath, allowing your chest to rise and fall. And with your exhale, I want you to go as slow as you possibly can. Your inhale is taking it deep and expansive, and your exhale is slow and controlled until you are emptied out. So we're going to use our senses here. We're going to drop in again with the eye vision here, the sight, to connect with a color, your soul, your truth. It can be a favorite color. I just want you to have that color in your vision right now, in the center of your heart. And as you're inhaling on your next breath, I want you to allow that breath to expand and see and feel that color rise, filling your lungs, filling your belly. And as you exhale, you're just feeling calm and peace. I want you now to just take a moment to allow that color, and I want you to take it and bring it down to where you're standing, to the earth, to the ground. You're just directing it with your sight to reach all the way down to the ground. And bring your awareness now back to the center of your chest. Now you're going to bring that color out to the right side, off of your shoulder, all the way out, stretched, maybe touching the wall to the right. Gently bring your awareness back in to the center of your chest. Bring that awareness out to the left side, to that shoulder height, all the way reaching to the side of the left, or maybe to the wall. Coming back into the center of your chest, bringing that light outstretched from the center, from the front side of you, reaching as far forward as you can imagine. Now bringing your awareness back inward, taking that color out through the back of your heart, all the way stretched behind you, touching maybe walls, space as far as you can envision. And now coming back into that heart center. And now you're going to bring your awareness all the way up, up through the crown of your head, reaching up through the top of the ceiling, all the way up into the clouds. And as you bring your awareness back into your body, this light comes with you. This is the divine source energy. And you feel it touching the crown of your head and pouring in down your neck, connecting with your spinal column, igniting each of your vertebrae. It doesn't just stop with your heart center, it reaches all the way down to the tips of your toes, the soles of your feet. There's not one part of you that isn't touched by this holy light. And as you come back into your heart center, you are plugged into your divinity, your holy self, your soul self. Just pause here for just a minute. Now I'm going to bring you through another meditation, and this meditation is really about your senses. It's the experience that we're going to pay attention to, the details. So I want you to notice what you taste. What do you taste with this light, with your core color, with your divinity? Notice if you swallow, just notice what's there. What do you taste? And if you feel like you want to write, feel free to jot down what you're experiencing in the taste. What do you hear with this light, with your color touching you? What do you hear? Notice all of the sounds. What do you smell? What do you smell? in your divinity. What do you see with your eyes closed? What do you see when you connect with your divinity, with this light pouring from the divine to you, for you, through you? What do you see? What do you feel? What's the feeling that you have? Is there air brushing your skin? The weight of your clothing feel different? What do you feel? And we're going to go into the knowing. This is in your body. Just truth, intuition. What do you know to be true? This is your sixth sense. What do you know? What do you know? So here in this space, right here now, this is where I want you to definitely grab your journal. This is where you're going to start to write your experiences down. Take the gaze in of your room really slowly. We don't want to get out of this meditative state. This is where there's a lot of yumminess. And there's another level to this experience that we're going to go through, which is your energy centers, your point of connection to spirit. So it is through the senses that we receive, and it is through our energy centers that we experience physical. And this is where we get separated from source, closed off in areas. So what I want you to do is to drop into your lower root chakra, which is in the soles of your feet. And just notice the experience here of the work we just did, of running the energy here. Notice, maybe, do you feel grounded? Do you feel strong? Move your awareness up to your root chakra at the base of your spine, that sits bone area. It's a place where we feel very disconnected a lot of times, like we're running in circles and not getting things done. And in this moment, we're open and we are plugged in. What do you feel now? What's possible? What is possible? Moving up into the sacral, right by your belly button region, is your creativity, your expression. This is the space for male, female reproduction. This is about the birthing. This is a big space for writers, for creative people. Noticing, what does the energy feel like here? moving up into the solar plexus just under your rib cage. This is the space where your intuition, where you trust yourself. Notice, how do you feel? Are you acidic? Are you digesting well? How do you feel now? Moving into that heart center, the truth of who you are, where you give and you receive, and we all want to support and help others. It really is why we're here. And just noticing if you feel enlivened, awakened. Notice if you've been overgiving, if you feel depleted. Moving up to the throat is this expression, both of the verbal and the nonverbal, your communication. Are you able to express yourself in these journal prompts? Are you able to speak your truth in real time or in writing? Moving up to the center of your forehead, your third eye, this is your ability to see truth, to see that postcard vision, to participate with spirit, to take the scary step forward without knowing the outcome. And now to the crown, the top of your head, is where you're participating with spirit, where you're allowing the divine to be one with you, because it is your choice. Beautiful. You guys are doing so great. So great. So just take a deep breath and exhale and come on back in. So this is a spiritual practice right here. And when we create a spiritual practice that we can return to as creatives, this is when your work will really start to expand and really become effortless. Where you hear people say, well, I just downloaded it. And that's how, is they let go and they just become an open channel. You guys are an open channel right now. So how do you feel? How do you feel? If anybody wants to share, please feel free. Light, Lorraine says, beautiful, Lorraine. I love that. Peaceful. Nice. Do you feel like it's possible? Calm. Nice, Nicole. Like it's possible. You're writing your story, your book. Does it feel possible now? And again, it does not have to be a physical book. It can be an audiobook. It can be anything that you're writing to put out into the world to serve. And so that's the next point I really wanted to talk to you about in your spiritual practice. And, I don't know where everybody is and what work you're doing. I think a lot of you are healers and that's what you're doing. And where we get really lost in our energy is we want to help, and we constantly are giving and giving and giving. And when we are giving and giving and giving, well, we are falling forward and we're concaving forward. And so what happens to the heart center is it becomes very off balance and we get very depleted because we're wondering, why am I not filling up? Why is there this void? Or why? We have a million questions why. So the place of service, when we're serving instead of helping, it changes everything. So as you're writing and creating your spiritual practice for putting your work out into the world, that's what this is about. This is about showing up of service and ready to share your light and your work with those who are meant for it. Again, this is going to be your journey through this is first it's going to be for you. You think it's going to be for other people, but I promise you it's going to be for you first. I promise you that it's going to be for you first. We talked about energy centers. We've walked through a meditation, which is a cross meditation. It's your core color and the cross meditation, in case you didn't catch on to that, which is a very holy experience. And it doesn't matter what your religion is, but this is really about an embodiment of divine love, holy love. That one meditation works to calm the central nervous system, especially when you slow your breathing down to a very relaxed state. That's going to do one of two things for your writing. It's going to get you out of your head and into your body. So when we talk about writer's block or monkey brain, that's the healing. It literally cannot survive when you do that meditation. Because now when you participate from this heart center and you're dropping in, then everything, the creativity just can start flowing and the expression. So don't be surprised that your writing might take on a new vibration, a new tone. Don't be surprised if new things start coming to you by practicing this every day. And that's my next hot tip for you guys is in order to write a book, you can do it in 8 weeks. You can do it in 8 weeks. How do I know? I've done it. It's a commitment to 1,000 words a day. Average books are around 56,000 words. That's a pretty decent sized book. My books they're under 40,000. They're like 42,000. That's from cover to cover because my books are not, it's not a novel. It's not going to, I don't know what you guys are writing. So do you know your genre? We'll talk about that in a minute. Do you know your genre? So using this meditation, using your senses and the energy centers, wow, it's just going to start to really be so expansive and your writing will go to levels that you weren't really prepared to see. That's exactly what I found. These journal prompts, I love this. So the one they had me write down before, which was, I want you to look at a struggle. Like, what did you come here struggling with? When you first came, I asked you why you were here. And there's always a struggle that we have. There's, I can't write. My struggle was, well, I didn't barely graduate high school. I'm not a good student. I can't write. And then I found out I'm dyslexic. That could be my story. I could stay with that. Dyslexia could have really tripped me up. And you're going to notice in the guide, you guys, when you download it, there are going to be mistakes. I purposely did that. I have since had it edited, but I wanted it to be real. And I wanted it to be real because it's not about perfection. I can promise you, if you're waiting and you're waiting and you're waiting and you go into this perfection mode, you won't publish your book. You won't get out there. It won't happen because it's not about perfection. There are things that we're going to do along the way, and we're going to see this in the guide when we're going to get on this guide in just a minute, that are going to support your great work. But you aren't meant to do all parts of that. You are not meant to edit your book. I know there are you guys who've gone to college and are like, well, I can edit my book. And I'm going to tell you, absolutely no way. Not going to happen. You're not editing your own book. I won't allow it because you cannot see all of the things that you're meant to see. It's just not going to happen. You have to have a professional editing done in order for your book to have a high vibration. Formatting, yeah, you could format your book if you're good with it. I don't recommend you taking it all on. I definitely recommend you hiring out the pieces, and I'll give you this list, you'll see in just a minute, that are not in your wheelhouse. So it's really knowing your strengths and knowing where you're meant to stay. And doing that meditation will allow you to communicate with your team. You all have guides and angels that want to work with you, and you can communicate with them like, what is my next right move? What is my next right move is a beautiful journal prompt to use throughout your journey. Like, what is my next right move? Do I hire out? um, do I go for it? Do I take a class? Like, use your next right move will come to you when you start leaning in and participating with spirit. Okay. um, so monkey brain, procrastination, those things are going to happen. So we're talking about setting up yourself for success. So 1,000 words a day, which can be done, depending on how you write. you know I can bump out 500 words in a half hour now. So you just get more proficient as time goes on. So if you wake yourself up, an hour earlier, and you dedicate that time to your writing, bingo, you're done for the day. And that's what you need. You need a set time, an absolute set time. You cannot think you're going to fit it in. Not going to happen. Not going to happen. And I'll tell you why. Because life happens. Because if you don't have it scheduled, then you're gonna find other things to do. You're gonna be like, well, I got to go to the grocery store, right? Well, I got to go meet so and so. Well, I got to take care of my parents, right? Or my kid needs me, or like, it's just your to-do list is going to happen, and you aren't going to make that happen. So it's really, really important to schedule it in. That's meditation and scheduling. Those are the two things that are going to make you a spiritually aligned author and help you to get this book written, manuscript ready in 8 weeks. Let me bring up the guide. Here's your guide, and it is in the text for you guys, and I will be emailing it to you again with the replay. Okay. It's just my intro. So this is your guide. The first thing we're going to talk about is researching your title, and I'm not going to go through this entire guide. I'm just going to go through some key points that I think are really important. And if you have questions around them, again, I invite you to ask them. Researching your title is a really important thing when you're writing, because one, it's going to show you if it's already out there. Two, it's going to also show you, like, when you start going on to Amazon, and I definitely recommend going on Amazon, going on Barnes and Noble, and looking at titles that are similar to yours. It will show you a pattern of how to use words to create your book title. The book title is not where you start, though. I put that as the first thing because that's where we think we need to start, but that is not where you start. You are going to start with your chapter summaries. Your chapter summaries are the most important thing that you're going to do. End of story. End of story. So, and the summaries are not going to be in order at first. You're going to write your summary as your method, your, like, whatever you guys are teaching. And I don't know, did anybody add in the chat like what they're teaching, like what their book is about? If you have your genre, this is an important thing. So if you put that in there, I can kind of give you some more details about that. So say my book, my chapter outline summary for Believe Angels Don't Lie is going to tell a story. I'm going to take you on a journey from point A to point B, right? So point A to point B. And so my summary has to, kind of go through those teachings of what's going to, make sense to get you from here all the way to here, right? So pain point to healing, right? So that's number two. With that chapter summary, what's going to happen once you write it is you're going to notice a pattern. You're going to notice, oh, wow, things might actually start shifting. That's what happened with The Goddess You. There were things that shifted around. And even with Believe, the second book, it definitely moved. They moved around some. And then when you bring it to an editor, it's going to probably get shifted around. Once you have your chapter summaries, the really cool thing about this is your title will appear. All of a sudden, it will just come out of you. Once you start writing it and creating it, then your title comes. And that's going to be like so cool, right? And then your subtitle will be born off of that because it will tell the rest of the story. From there, you'll create your table of contents and blah, blah, blah. We talked about writing your book. These are just some things you can do. Setting yourself up 1,000 words a day for 8 weeks will set you with like 56,000 words. I think I did the math. Hold on. I don't even want to lie to you. I want to give you the right number. Oh, I didn't write it down. But yeah, it's going to give you like something like that. So you're going to have, more than enough to work with. And why do you need more than enough to work with? Well, let me give you a little in. When I wrote The Goddess You, I remember getting to 30,000 words and then to 36,000 words, and it was fucking painful as all hell. Like it literally, like getting them all out was like, I was like so happy that I met my goal. And then they started deleting words, the editor, and I was like, "Ooh, don't take any words away." I started panicking. Like I didn't feel like I had it. I knew the number I wanted to be at. That was part of my journey. Like this is my number. And then they started deleting words and sentences, and I was like, "Oh no, what am I going to do?" So, if you have more than what you plan for your book and what you feel is a good number, that's going to make the whole difference. So the body of the book needs to be a certain amount, and then you're going to add in your acknowledgments and your table of contents. All of the words from cover to cover inside are going to be part of that. Make sense? Cool. um some of this stuff we're not going to go over here. We'll go over the manuscript editing and why. And I gave you some kind of lowdowns on this with, you know why, because there's different types of editing. One, there's going to be someone that can critique your work. That can be a really good friend, somebody that's a good writer that that can be someone that you trust. You don't have to hire that out. The line edit and the copy edit really should be hired out. End of story. The proofread, again, can go back to that person that did the manuscript critique, because the proofread is going to be making sure that there aren't any mistakes. They're not making any edits. They're just making sure there's no mistakes in what was already done, because things do get missed. You miss it, your editor misses it. It just happens. I had a whole team going through, and then when we did the proofread, we still found mistakes. So, and that's cool. It's okay. It's just because you're looking at it over and over and over that there's bound to be mistakes. So I gave you this as, approved. Like, then you're going to know, you're going to read through it yourself. Do not read through it and approve it. Definitely read through and approve it. And with your line edit and your copy edit, and even with your manuscript critique, because this is somebody who's going to tell you, like, I don't like this or I don't like this, you get the final say. This is your work. It has to make sense. It has to align with you. Do not let somebody else energetically tear it apart. If you're being guided and that's it, end of story. And I did that with Angels Don't. I did it with both books, and I stayed in my truth. Like, nope, this is how it has to be. This is how it has to be. And a lot of you guys have read the books, and I had to fight for that voice to stay true to my own and true to what spirit was showing me. Doesn't make sense to some other people. Cover design. This is a lot of fun. This is where you guys get to be creative with cover and interior, because you can go through other books. And I've done this for all my books. Is I pulled out all my favorite books and I wrote down what I liked about them energetically. What did I like about this book? What did I like about this book? And I pulled all of the things that I liked in order to bring a cover to life. With The Goddess You, I did work, both books I worked with an artist, two different artists, both very dear family members, which I was very lucky. So with The Goddess You, I knew that it was going to be in this blue tone. It did come off a little bit more purple, but it's still in that blue because that's my core color, right? My blue. And the painting on here is very specific because this was painted for me by my artist, and it depicts, that journey of the chakras, the Holy Spirit, and being in union. And she's a tree, really grounded, really standing. So um, I really just, I was so happy when this came together. So that's an exciting thing, getting to choose your cover, working with an artist. There are local people. There are many websites you can find. We won't talk about that, but um, knowing how you want it laid out, knowing if you want artwork, if you want color, those are important things for interior as well. How will you know what to do with your book and your manuscript once you get it back and it's ready to go? Well, depending on the company that you go with, to self-publish, KDP is Amazon, and KDP is a great place for first-time authors to go. And you can do more than one self-publishing. I did that in the beginning. I did before it was KDP, it was called Create Space, and I also did Ingram Spark, and they're both on here. I included those for you. They'll have specs for you. They'll have the specs for you so you can download the guides and what they need to be like. So if you do have some badass graphic skills and you can build, or if you're going to hire it out, someone, you can say, here, I've got this template for you. So the templates are all there. Katie, they're both really great for teaching. There's lots of tutorials on the site. Watch them, watch the videos. Don't not watch them. You have to watch them because you're going to learn things like keywords. There are big things to do while you're creating your book. Once the manuscript is done, once you get it to 8 weeks, your next job is going to be doing all this other stuff. While you set it out for editing, you're going to be setting up your account with Ingram Spark or KDP. And the difference is KDP is Amazon, and your book will be sold as an Amazon book. It will go to other channels. Ingram Spark will go onto Amazon, but it will also go to Barnes and Noble. Some people recommend you publish on both, which I did do in the beginning, but I decided this was not working. It was too confusing. So I ended up canceling on KDP, and I'm strictly on Ingram Spark. What else can I tell you that is important for you? If you do go to KDP, I highly recommend that you own your own ISBN number. And the ISBN number, guys, is this little barcode on the back of the book is going to be assigned to each book that you do. So if you have a soft cover of your book, you will need an ISBN number for that. If you are having a hardcover of this book, you will need an ISBN for that. If you are doing an ebook version of your book, you will need an ISBN for that. So I recommend you buying a 10-pack. They do sell them on the Bowkers, and I put that on there for you because as you don't even realize it, you're like, oh my God, I need another ISBN number, another version. And especially if you're going to put it on, if you're going to go to two sites, KDP and Ingram Spark, you're going to need all those ISBN numbers because you cannot put the same ISBN number that you use on KDP on Ingram Spark. They have to be different. Does that make sense? Okay. We can talk about ebook. They will convert your book to ebook. If you have color, if you have graphics in your book, do not use them. They slaughtered my Goddess U book because it needs to be done a specific way, and I still have not hired out to have that done yet. I just have it up there the way it is. It's just because I moved on and wrote another book. I moved on. But I do want to have that. I do want to revisit that and relaunch it again, which have it done the right way because you have to take the graphics out. There's a whole way to do that, which is very confusing to talk about. But if it's just simple print, easy peasy. They just charge you a fee and they do it automatically, and then it's ready for print. And then your cover, you'll have it made for all your different versions, and those specs will be on there. I didn't put anything about audiobooks on here because that would be something that requires a whole nother experience because what you had to do for that is just ginormous. So who prints it? So whoever you're using, is going to print it. So if you're using KDP, it's going to be printed through KDP. If you're using Ingram Spark, it's going to go to you. They're going to print it. Um, Ingram Spark, I'm going to tell you, is who all the big publishing houses use. That's who they use to print their books. The one thing about self-publishing that I really, really love is I have creative control. I have creative control. I also can get my books in a hot second if I need them. I can always have stock. I can bring them to my events. I can give them to my people, to my good clients. I can ship them wherever I want, no problem. When you do go through a publishing house, you have to go through them, and it's a lot more challenging. It's like pulling teeth. It's not as easy as what you think. Plus, you get all the royalties. You don't split anything with them. You set your price margins. You create it all, so it's all on you, and that automatically all gets deposited, and you get reports on that as well each month. So that's a lot that I just dumped out. So questions. Why would you? I mean, there are what they call hybrid publishers, where you go and they do all of this work for you. And my experience with that is they're fly by night companies unless they have longevity. They're very expensive, but it is a new up and coming way. Self publishing used to get a really bad rap, but it is gold, because these hybrid publishers that are coming in all the time, they know it. They know there's big money to be made with the right self publishing format. And a lot of them are just doing a really crappy job at presenting the books and putting them out there in the world. But larger publishing houses have people under them. They don't have their own self-publishing wings, but they have people that work under their titles, and you can get really lost in those too. So I mean, not that they're all bad, and there are some really good hybrid publishing companies, but do your research if that's what you're thinking about. Definitely make sure that you interview them, ask all of your questions, ask about your royalties, ask them about what books you're going to get up front, like everything. Ask them what they're responsible for in terms of cover design. Ask them if there's because a lot of them are having people just doing graphic work, making covers, and they look like cookie cutter. They don't necessarily look like art. And so, if you're a creative person and you want your cover to be telling a story or having a feeling, that's going to be an important thing to see what they're already putting out there and taking a look at that. In reverence, I just want to honor each and every one of you for coming and showing up and having this experience. Of course, I'm going to tell you, I do have a program that I am creating with Spirit, which is the Spiritually Aligned Author Program, and it's named the same thing, go figure. But what I'm going to do in that experience, it is going to be 8 weeks, and we're going to go through each and every one of these steps. We're going to have two, so it'll be a coaching class. There'll be 2 things a week. So one will be almost like a 2-hour coaching class, or like 90 minutes, but they always go over. And I will teach on a topic, going off of creating the outlines, because that's a really big one. And then we'll have the second part of that will be having co-writing sessions, and it will be a guided meditation and then co-writing sessions together. You'll have a private Facebook group, and then we'll have 4 sessions, 4 30-minute sessions together, where we'll hash out any of the issues that are coming up with your writing, anything that's happening with you guys that you feel like you're stuck in. And so that experience, I think, is really exciting. It's exciting for me to create that sacred space for people to go through. And I just think it's great. So anyways, we'll walk through the entire steps. It's 8 weeks, like I said, because that's what they're showing me. It's just easy. It's easy peasy to get that manuscript ready and like get you ready to book launch. And we'll go over that. That'll be more, we won't miss any of these topics. We'll go over absolutely everything. So you have the know-hows and the what-tos on getting your book out there. I hope that you walk away with like knowing you guys can do this. Like, if I can do it, I promise you, you can do it. I promise you, you can do it. I'm the girl who found out she was graduating high school the day before graduation, and my mother cried. She's like, "You did it! You did it!" Yeah, that was me. Yeah, I did it. So when my first book was published, when I did it, when after it was edited and I had poured all this love into it, I just cried. I just cried because it was like a dream come true. It was like the best school report I could have ever done, and beyond, right? Personal. It was very personal. And that's what writing, I think, is. It's very personal. Putting your words on paper, putting your life in front of others shows them that they can do it too. When we lead from that place of love, of vulnerability, of truth, it inspires other people to do the same. It reminds them of why we're all here, to learn from each other. So if God is calling you, he's asking you, there's a reason. There's a reason. Trust him. He knows best. Thank you, guys. Thank you, thank you, thank you. I hope this all served you and you had fun and learned something fun and new.
The truth when she smiles at